Ladies and gentlemen, people watching, everyone, everybody, or no one at all, welcome to the Wrestling Diaries podcast. This is our first episode, maybe, probably. We did another one, but I don't know if that's ever going to be released because the audio cut in and out.
I sure hope so. There were many memorable bloopers on that.
Yeah, very much. Basically, this podcast is about it. We're just talking about us growing up. We did a wrestling show. We called it TWA, not to be confused with the TWA flight airline thing that doesn't exist anymore, or anything else that's called TWA. It stands for Theatric Wrestling All Stars, and that name actually changed many times through the years. So we'll go into that in just a minute. But we grew up. We're a bunch of teenagers. We grew up watching WWF, which became WWE. We mimicked storylines and characters and what have you, and we created our own show. We created our own narrative. We created our own characters. We loosely used influence from the actual professional wrestling storylines and whatnot to do that, and it was really funny. We put together like a pretty. We were on the trampoline, so I guess we're a bunch of pussies. But I think where we really did shine at was just the stories we were telling, and then the characterizations. It's very caricature. It's very satire. I've used this comparison almost till I've ran it in the ground, but it's like Saturday Night Live if they did more physical stuff and they're just doing bits, and it was based off of professional wrestling.
Oh, I don't know. Near the end there, we were really ramping up our game, not just with our consistency and quality of the matches, but also with our top-notch announcing, too, in my opinion, because, if you can't have a good story without a good storyteller. So, it all has to phase into one concept. It has to gel together, because if it doesn't, it fails.
Yeah.
The segment fails to get over. So, as at the start, of course, we mentioned the TWA. So, this is the TWA's myth, and I am the TWA's franchise, and also about 17 other names I forgot by about now. So.
Right. Yeah. And I also, he said myth. Myth we all have what I call our alpha characters, I guess, which are basically our original characters that are essentially based on just who we are as people. So, myth is just basically me. Franchise or MDG or M Diamond is him, and then we had two other friends that we started with, and they had two characters named Mr. Sexy and Showtime, and they essentially were themselves. Now, with that being said, I also play just a litany of other characters, like a lot, like this southern redneck character named John Jenkins. I play this parody of Spider-Man called the Humane Spider. What else, who else did I do? I can't think of.
Oh, you forgot the man. You forgot about the man himself, bro. You're talking about King Seth, Mr.
Right. Yeah, how could I forget? That's the original alpha dog right there. And King Seth, I fashioned loosely around Vince McMahon, sort of, but I added a lot of crazy, wildly psychotic and silly, he's like a mix between Lex Luthor from Superman and the Joker from Batman.
Oh my
but with
God,
like money and like a suit and stuff. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, there was just such a great character, such a dichotomy too. It was just amazing. Whenever you knew you had the King Seth character on, you always knew that there was money involved in that segment. Come on now.
It's funny because everybody that's ever seen me do that character, they get a kick out of it because it's super over the top. It's
I'm about to say we'll go back. We'll definitely go back to that later. You also for a time played the King's Enforcer known as Skull. You also played him for a time.
Yeah, but he's originally our friend Ivy's character. We also do these characters where we kind of float around, like where one person doesn't just do the character, a multitude of people do the characters because we use costumes and masks and outfits and attires and stuff like that.
I was about to say the only one who didn't do it was me, but then again, I was also practically I was the voice of the TWA too, especially with the announcing and whatnot.
Oh yeah. You really shun and doing the announcing stuff.
Yeah, which is why the last match that we ever had in the TWA, you and Thomas or whatever during the All Star Classic pay per view, that was just that was pure pressure to call. I mean, for all we knew at the time, it was our last match. It still may be for now, but it's something you never know about until you just. Oh God! Even going into our last season, and you and I had this conversation. Here we are talking about it. It's like we ended up getting the itch. In fact, I remember you texting me about it, and I remember that conversation, and I just looked at my phone, and you just like, "Hey, bro," and I said, "It's time, isn't it?" You remember that?
Oh yeah, I absolutely remember that.
Oh my God!
Exciting, man. It was really exciting.
Like I said, it's like I knew a couple of weeks before, because I don't know what it is about this guy right here, but he always lets me know he'll just let me know, and I'll just know that it's time, Oh my God.
Yeah, I've been one of the brain children of our backyard wrestling things, because I write like these little makeshift guerrilla scripts and stuff, but I also have been like everyone's unofficial cheerleader. I've always got everybody pumped up and psyched up for doing this stuff.
Yeah, pretty much if you're looking at the wrestling world, Mitchell would arguably what's better known as our booker. He booked the matches, he did all this stuff. Me, I was more of the financial backing at the time of the TWA.
I could see if we were actually like trying to sell this and we were like a traveling thing, like a carnival, and I was like, "Hey man, you got to book these guys. I mean, they're doing some really wild shit."
Yeah,
and then when he books us, he's expecting something super like awesome, and then he just sees us dressing up in drag and like Thomas is narcoleptic nudist and like girls' panties, dressing around and like Kako pecking someone on the penis.
Yep. Which, by the way, it was still not rape because he was a chicken guy.
Right. He's a chicken, so it's not real rape.
No, exactly.
He's a chicken.
He's sexually
chicken
identifies
humanoid
as a chicken.
Or something. That's so funny. That's really funny.
Oh my gosh. But no, Mitchell here was our booker. He ended up booking all the matches, week after week. I had a small hand in that, looking at it every now and then.
Yeah, I mean, because, everybody had a hand in it. Everybody had,
if I'm about to say,
stories and stuff like that.
I'm about to say, I pretty much have mine. Mitchell did his part as the booking. When we were younger, I was more of the financial backing of the TWA. In fact, during
he bought us a bug zapper.
Oh my God, that thing was amazing. Also, Hard Havoc, when we had to take your truck and we had to go buy all those tables.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I think we bought like 5 or 6 tables for that pay-per-view.
Yeah, we went and spent money on tables, everyone, so that we could like smash each other through it. Pretty funny. This shows you how much we really love doing this crap, because we were spending money and time. I mean, we didn't make any money off of it. Just self-gratification, self-satisfaction, self-entertainment.
Yeah, we say that now, and then we remember the chain match in season 4.
Yeah, brutal.
God,
real brutal. Yeah, another reason why I compared us to Saturday Night Live is because, like I said, there's only, I guess, as far as the actors of what we did, there was only 7 of us, 7 actual individuals. And sometimes we'd have other people, other friends, and people come in and do bits or whatever, but it was generally based around the 7 of us. Me, Matt, our other friend Matt, Thomas, Ivy, Jason, and Robert. And the multitude of all those people played also a multitude of the cast of characters there. And in Saturday Night Live, that's how they do that. You have like one actor and he plays like a multitude of characters in different bits and different skits, and that's what we did. So sometimes if you were unlucky, like Thomas, who plays like 45% of the characters in the show, then you'd be wrestling all night long. You'd be fake fighting on a trampoline with someone all night long, but just dressed up in a different outfit, coming out to a different walk and doing a different moveset.
Yeah, which is where the booking had to come in handy. We had to try and alternate the best we could. We had to account for the fact that, maybe they were more tired, versus the style they were supposed to work during that match. I mean, God forbid you want to have someone in a hardcore style match and then slow it down to a basic singles or a tag team match, where you don't see them compete as often as you should. I mean, that just it wears and tears on your body no matter what. So
It's exhausting. I've had to do it. I have to go through the ringer where I wrestled every single match on the show, and had to. It's extra grueling because not only are you out there doing. Obviously, we're not like serious athletes or professionals or whatever, but still having to get out there and pretend fight with somebody and on a trampoline. I mean, you got to have some cardio for that, and then on top of that, you've got to I've got to change it in this new outfit and this new like costume, and then I got to talk differently and walk differently. We should have been in theater. Like we really.
And I should have
screwed the pooch on that one.
And I should have built up my cardio, but that's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
Oh, fat jokes.
But yeah, that's what we did, ladies and gentlemen. And it's we put all the stuff out on YouTube. You can go out there and watch it, and it's it was filmed with like old school cameras, so it wasn't digital media stuff. It was like
not until later on. Season 5, I believe, did have a little bit better quality overall.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's right. We filmed with a digital camera, didn't we, Matt? Didn't we use it? What?
Yeah, we did do. I think it was near.
It started on show 2. It was show 2. Show 4. It was somewhere we did. Was it 12 episodes for season 5? It started on show 6. So halfway through season 5, which is our final season, yeah, we started using a digital camera and all that. But before that, we were. We only used. Never mind. Okay, so
what did we use it for? 2 episodes.
My friend, my tech
Classics,
guy,
right?
The tech guy saying it was 2 episodes. So never mind, ladies and gentlemen, I'm a liar.
Oh, please. I'm about to say, you want to talk about guys that were in it. We talked about the main 4 right now. I mean, speaking of our tech guy, I mean, what an amazing talent. Oh yeah. My God.
Yeah, dude.
You want to talk about 5th season ramp up? Oh, yeah. My gosh.
Yeah, it did get ramped up a lot, like with everything. The value, the acting was better.
I'm about to say, we look back at season 5 with fondness. That was okay. So by then we were all older. We really started when we were in our teenage years. To put it into perspective, now it was about 17 years ago when I started it. At the age of 18.
Yeah,
I was with these guys. They were like, "Hey, come on, dude. Okay, let's go." So we finally got it back together. When we started getting older and we really started to trust each other more, bounce ideas off each other more. I was actually heavily involved in a lot of promo segments near the end. It's like I didn't treat it as a the typical what would I want to see as a producer style. It's like I didn't even do any major tweaking. It's just like, hey, try and cut on this, because it's just the little subtleties and the nuances of it all.
Yeah, I think where we our big shining moment was just the cutting those promos and the skits and stuff. I mean, the matches were decent or good. There's probably a lot of people could watch it and be like, wow, this sucks, and it probably does.
Yeah.
But if you look at it from like a different standpoint, I mean, it's art, man. We were creating that. This was our art. This is our canvas. We were painting stuff on. To give you a quick rundown of the basis of the storyline. So it starts with this guy named Commissioner Seth, and he is this rich, suit-wearing, guttural, raspy voice guy.
Egotistical as can be.
Yeah, he's as arrogant and egotistical and maniacal and diabolical as you could assume a character is. We actually did these video introductions to these characters, so at some point we'll have to like post that up, or you can see it on YouTube. But he was completely over the top too. He's so crazy, but he's also real funny. He's real funny, like he's really funny. And he created this thing, and he started the wrestling company, the fictional company, with four original people, and that was Myth, M Diamond, Mr. Sexy, and Showtime. And those were, and we use the coin term, the 4 founding fathers, because they were the first 4 members of this wrestling organization, and they were the oldest veterans.
And the irony is during until season 5, we had always referred to them as the founding fathers, but after a while, I think I was the one that snuck it in there near the end or whatever. It's like we just started calling them the 4.
Yeah, not to be
So-
confused with the Four Horsemen from WCW.
No, so we
Was
just
that
did-
just WCW or was that WWE?
No, that was WCW. So no. So after a while, we started cutting it down to the 4. So we had done some stuff, before we started filming. All 4 of us were involved,
Yeah.
and by the time it started during season 1, there was only 2, and that was Ivy and Thomas, respectively, as Mr. Sexy and Showtime,
Yeah.
which turned out to be one of the great all-time rivalries of the TWA
Agreed.
by far.
Agreed. Also, the names of those characters and the characterization of them also because we're all kids at this point too, keep in mind, and we were playing wrestling video games. And one of our favorite ones was No Mercy on Nintendo 64.
Are you kidding? This is what 2020, and it's still arguably, and not just in our personal minds, but in a lot of fans' minds, it's still one of the best games today. I kid you not.
Dude,
I mean,
believe it.
you Metacritic that right now.
It was so fun, dude.
Oh my gosh.
Like literally, we'd have like those triple threat ladder matches, and we'd be like trying to manipulate each other. Like, no, oh, he's talking. Go hit him with a chair, and then whoever's doing that's meanwhile trying to climb the ladder while they're using someone else's anger to fight off the other guy. Dude, we were such little freaking rats about it. It was so fun.
God!
But we made our own characters, and that's where like these silly names came from, based on that. And the thing is like the TWA. Oh, and back to the name real quick. So TWA originally stood for Trampoline Wrestling Amateurs. And then amateurs turned to Trampoline Wrestling Association. Then it was that for a little while. And then I was like, maybe we should make it a little bit more like get away from the trampoline. And so I just called it the Wrestling Association. And then it finally became Theatric Wrestling All-Stars, and that's what the name is now, and that's what it's going to stay at. And the reason why I came up with that name is because we're very dramatic. We're all a bunch of prima donnas, and we're theatrical. Like that trampoline wasn't a trampoline; it wasn't a wrestling ring.
It was
a stage. It was a stage. We're putting on silly stage plays.
And even though that we had put the silly stage plays on, you can see it's some in some of our promos. How much we were truly feeling this. Some of the matches we were putting on, we truly felt it,
Yeah.
I mean, what is it? I'm about to say, take our match at Rage, for example. You want to see how far we were willing to go just to entertain. I mean, it was one of our ironically better viewed episodes on YouTube.
And
but you can tell we put our heart into it, though,
Oh, yeah.
despite, me having a little bit of a concussion.
He was a bit concussed. But yeah, for anybody watching out there, if you ever just want to like really beat the shit out of a human being, this guy right here takes a beating more beautifully than anyone I've ever met in my entire life.
It's like me and Mitch here. We would just plan a match. Sometimes we would plan a match, and sometimes he'd be like, Matt, just go with it. All right, just go with it. We're gonna make it work. And we've always done that. That's just been. I think we planned maybe one thing one time, and
Yeah.
I can even tell you the one thing we planned during that match at Rage,
What's that?
and that was the spot where you dove off the ladder and hit me with the swanton.
Oh yeah.
That was the only thing we planned. After that, everything else was raw.
We made our own makeshift tables to put people through just by using just random plywood laying around.
The myth character, always been athletic. Sometimes I'm about to say it's never against you, but your athletic style made up for it. Your promos were a little slow at first, but ramped up. Everybody's was, it's not just.
Oh yeah.
I'm about to say everybody's promos ramped up near the end. You always had a slow start to the promo, but you didn't need to be the promo guy. You needed to be the athletic guy.
Right.
I'm about to say we all knew I had to be the promo guy.
Yeah, I'll tell you who did the worst promos. It's Thomas as Mr. Sexy.
Until season 5.
Jesus Christ.
Until
season 5, he really got into his own element. But before that, and here's what's so funny. The guy that we're talking about, Thomas, he's super funny. He's super goofy and silly.
But get him in front of a camera, it seems like he goes to complete
Well, that's based on if he's playing himself. So Mr. Sexy's his alpha character, as we were saying. And so
his main.
If he's trying to play himself, he can't think of he can't talk shit. He can't like cut a promo. But if he plays any of the other characters like Magical Jester or James Jenkins or Shadow Man or Blocko or what is it? He does a bunch of characters.
The
narcoleptic nudist. Don't ask. You just have to see this one. Like, he kicks ass, and he's silly, and he's funny, and he's engaging. But when he plays Mr. Sexy, who is essentially just him playing himself as a fictional character, he just couldn't do it.
He just fell apart every time. And, you know, I was trying to work with him on the side, you know, whenever I could.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, bro, so focus on this. You know, we're going to try and do. I don't know if you ever knew this, but after a while in season 5, I did give little cues to him to cut a promo every now and then.
Yeah.
That I don't know if you ever saw it or not, but
probably, yeah. It makes sense. I don't remember.
I'm about to say, you remember that one promo in season 5 he cut completely by himself, where he was, you know, talking on a cell phone, where he was supposed to have a.
Oh yeah.
Where he was supposed to have someone interviewing him. I was just like, no, cut the interview, act like you're talking on the phone, and cut the promo on your own. It ended up being one of his better promos.
That was really good. But with that being said, though, with him not being able to like perform, you know, a skit or a promo as that character, when he was in the ring as Mr. Sexy, and his name Mr. Sexy came from because he's like, oh, he's so good looking stuff, and it was also a play off of Shawn Michaels' Heartbreak Kid or whatever. But when he got in the ring, of all of us,
oh please, you want to talk about another one that can go? Oh my god,
he was clearly. He
could go with anyone.
Great athleticism, but he's also very innovative. Like, he used to take martial arts though too. Like, when he was younger, he took martial arts for a couple of years. I don't remember if it was karate or taekwondo. So he did a little bit of competition. And first of all, Thomas is just he's got a really good complex mind for detail. And so even in physical things.
I'm about to say, forget detail. You want to talk about detail? Let's talk creativity. Who do you think created the TWA championships? All of them.
Yeah. Our friend Thomas that we're talking about, he created our...
he created, what was it? Our TWA championship, our Twin Star Tag Team championship, our Hard Havoc championship, our WLF championship. Yeah. He created it all.
Yeah, and it was all original. He's super artistic, and he just came up with it by himself.
About to say, it wasn't not just a man who had talent in the ring, talent in his mind, and you can see it now that you look at it in retrospect. You can see it through all the seasons, like little bits and pieces of Thomas in every single skit, every single promo you cut, every single match you see. Once again, Thomas provided the framework. I provided the money. You provided the booking. I provided a bunch of hockey statements, which was great.
Yeah.
But okay, so we about to say, you could just see Thomas in everything though. So
yeah, a real quick side note, me and Matt were watching a tag match, and Thomas is playing James Jenkins, which is the brother to John Jenkins, which is the character I play. And we were wrestling against like Sandman and Kako. As John, I did this thing where I went around the ring and I was just running in slow motion, and I rolled off the ground, and everybody's sitting there watching me. And then Thomas comes in as James, and while he's watching me do all this silly, stupid crap, he just kicks him right in the dick. He's just standing there watching me do all this stuff, and then Thomas as James Jenkins walks up and kicks him right in his balls. And it's so funny because you can tell Robert has this mask on with the goggles, and you can tell it hurts so bad, and he wasn't expecting it because if you watch it, he just kicks him perfectly directly right in the nuts. It's so funny.
But yeah, it was the little attentions to detail that, like I said, you can see Thomas in literally every single piece of the TWA that we've ever done, by far. You can.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's take our friend Ivy, for example. Showtime, the High Flyer.
Yeah.
The promo cut and mastered like no other.
Yeah, here's what's funny. Like on the 4 or whatever. So you and Ivy were more for the dramatics and the cutting promos and skits, and then me and Thomas were the more athletic ones, the better in the ring.
It paid off.
So
it paid off.
That was a very interesting dynamic.
Oh my god, it paid off near the end too, when you got each of the comparable styles together instead of but we worked well together as contrast too.
Yeah.
What was it?
You think about the tag match, season 4?
I'm about to say, it's still my favorite match to this day. Season 4, episode 9. Watching is the only time the 4 of us were ever in our main characters in the ring together.
we did all this stuff. It really, it wasn't even just about, for me, it became more than just wrestling so much as it was just like we're just getting together and doing like we're just having fun with our friends. Like
I'm about to say no. It was more than that. It was a piece of us by then. I mean, you know, it's like you want to talk about heart, you want to talk about drive and passion. You know,
yeah, it basically, not to make too big of a deal about it or be cliche, but it created a brotherhood. We created like a clique, a brotherhood, a gang, a group.
I'm about to say we started season one. What was it? Roughly 20 years ago now.
It was 2002.
Yeah, so it was nearly 20 years ago we started doing all this, and we're still great today.
Yeah, yeah, we're still all pretty tightly knitted. I mean, a lot of people have grown up and have families and stuff, but we still all keep in touch and stuff like that. But my dream goal is, and it still is to use this format, this model of what we did, and create a legitimate, you know, financial business off of it. And people could say, well, that's silly, that's crazy. I mean, is it? I mean, people look at what people are doing now. Like we're leaving the industrial age, going into the information age. People literally are making a living talking about Harry Potter, or people are making a living like, you ever see those videos where people eat online?
Ah, the foodies.
Yeah, dude, I literally sat back and watched one of those videos for like 2 hours. I was watching somebody eat, and I was just like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing right now. But this is very interesting to me.
But
And this person had like a gajillion subscribers, and they had ads, so I know they definitely are making money off of it. And so you literally, whatever you want to do, you can literally do it and make a living off of it.
I'm about to say let's talk about things that were done. You know, let's talk the myth character for example. We were all let's talk about the myth character. So eventually, you know, we started off with little or no direction. You know, you came in as a spoiler at the end of the second pay-per-view event we created.
Oh yeah.
So you came in as a spoiler, you know, you take the TWA championship, you know. No solid direction of the character for a minute, you know. If you look at it in retrospect, it wasn't a bad thing because it's like I said at the start, you know, you started off slow, but when you performed, you know, during match time, that was where you showed. And there's no shame in that. It's just the way it is.
Yeah, it was
So
all over the place. In the storyline, what he's talking about, ladies and gentlemen, is my alpha character Myth had been gone, because we also did this show before we actually started filming it, and we had a storyline going. And in that storyline, Myth had this really big match with Mr. Sexy, and it was like to retire the hardcore championship at the time. And then he lost the match, and then from there he kind of went on like hiatus. The character went on hiatus and sabbatical, and then he didn't come back till our actual second season, which was when we started videoing it. And he came back as a surprise character because he was dressed up like another character that wears a mask, and he secretly stole the limelight from that character and took this like title match against the champion at the time, which was Showtime, right?
Yeah, I'm about to say, you know, he Showtime held the belt for 2 seasons, you know, so it was bound to happen, you know.
That was me. I did that.
Yeah, you did. So no, as far as the myth character, you know, very athletic. After a while, even your own promos started ramping up, you know. Once I saw you, about to say when you and I started working together in what was it?
Fourth season.
Yeah,
because it was leading up to our match.
No, so
yeah, I agree with you.
I'm about to say no. I was talking with Mitch when we were setting that angle up for the chain match. I think he was a little unsure at the time. You'll see a part where he does angle where, you know, we injure my arm for this chain match because the idea is, you know, we're supposed to wrap these chains around arms or whatever, and then we're going to fight. Yeah. So I'm talking to Mitch about this angle. I'm like, okay, so here's what I want you to do for this show. Come out. We'll set up the arm injury with the swanton in the chair. And you're like, no, this isn't going to work. Like, there's no way. Are you sure? And actually, when it came to you and me, you were always like so nervous about the I wanted to do. It's like, you know, are you sure? Hell, I remember what was it, season 5? You were like, you're really gonna take this loss to an announcer? Yeah. So watching the myth character evolve, oh my gosh, that about to say once he started cutting a promo, it was done. he about to say you really took your place there in the TWA as one of the stronger faces of the company and whatnot.
Especially in fifth season with my rivalry with Thomas as Mr. Damn Gorgeous.
I'm about to say, our chain match was definitely no slouch either. Because if you ever look back at it, we went too far that night. We did. We went too far.
Yeah, like I said, he's really good at taking a beating, everyone. I'll tell you, getting hit by a chain does not feel good.
No, and he starts it at the beginning of the match in like 30-degree weather, I think it was.
Oh god, yeah, dude, I forgot about that. It was super cold, so everything hurts twice as bad.
Wham! And it's like he's beating me with a whip, and no, that was real pain.
Yeah. So if any of you have ever, if you fake fight, even if you real fight, but if you fake fight and it's cold outside and you're doing what we were doing, everything hurts twice as bad. If somebody slaps you on the wrist, that hurts like twice as bad as it would because it's so cold, your skin's tight, your body's all clenched up. And then we were doing this with a freaking chain.
And it's like 20 feet long. So, and so when I was coming up with this idea for the chain match, we had talked about, it's time that I became the champion, and I was like, are you sure it's time? Because, I had been the only one of the four to never hold it at the time.
Yeah.
So I figured, okay, well, it's like, okay, Mitch and I are going to do this. We're going to go out. We're going to electrify, we're going to take it entirely too far. I remember cussing out Thomas and Ivy right after their match because they did a 2 falls out of 3 match that it stole the show. I'm sorry. It did.
Oh yeah.
They stole the show that night. I mean, it took everything we had. Originally, Mitchell was actually supposed to suplex me through a table with thumbtacks on it.
Yeah.
Because he went with me that night to go buy him. I'm about to say, so, we had the Myth character, and then there was the M Diamond MDG franchise character. I literally evolved it over, 3 seasons?
Yeah. And then we took those characters and we made them
ironically
characters.
I am the
played by other people.
And ironically, I am the most parodied character in the entire TWA.
So we do a show that's a parody of actual real professional wrestling with parodies inside of the parody show. So it's a paradox.
I know, right? So, about to say when I started, I never did multiple characters. We decided my voice was the best one behind the announce team because we needed a stronger JR style, to actually call the matches, to actually articulate the moves we were doing, articulate the impact. I did need a color commentator from time to time, but.
Yeah, that was another thing that stood out. Our commentation was, it was to the point we were calling the matches and calling the names of the moves and calling the storylines, but we also would deviate and talk shit and do all these other things and heckle our friends in there. And that's what really, I think, makes it very entertaining to watch because you're listening to people just go off the wall with silly banter.
Through it all, through all, 3.5 seasons I was involved in, you'll hear my voice is literally the voice of the TWA that calls the matches and whatnot.
Yeah.
So you'll hear my voice through it, calling all the action, there's a Haley's Comet again,
Heck yeah, dude.
Let's see. There was that. I did initially provide the money for the TWA because I was the only one with the job at the time, because y'all were about to say y'all were still too young and I was the only one who had a job. So, we did that. That was how what was it? That was how Backyard Brutality and Hard Havoc evolved.
Yeah. He was calling himself, he was like the TWA's financial advisor.
I was because
he's the CFO.
About to say
Chief Financial Officer.
No, that was where we got the ladder when you saw it first at Hard Havoc. When I did wrestle, though, you could always tell. I never really flew per se, but I always did have a balls to the wall style that did not care.
Yeah. But to get outside of this a little bit, because we talked a lot about our wrestling, which it's what we're basing the podcast off of. Outside of that, what did it mean to you as a person and as a friend to all of us?
Well, if I had to give an answer, I would have to say I lost one thing, but I gained another.
Okay, which is?
You would call me controversial for saying this, you know. God forbid I made enough of those in season 5. But I lost friends, but I gained one of the best families I ever had. Bar none. I mean, you stopped becoming my friends and you became my family. So
That's some deep right there. See? That's the Wrestling Diaries, ladies and gentlemen. That's life. For me, yeah, man, same here. I don't really know if I lost friends on the outside, but because this was my central group of friends already, and we just started doing this stuff.
I'm about to say it's not. I was just saying that I didn't look at you guys just as friends
I see.
anymore.
Yeah,
I started
yeah.
looking at you guys as family.
I got you. Yeah, same. That's what I said. We built a brotherhood. It's a brotherhood, literally. Jason made that statement. I agree with him 100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for me, it's more the same too. It was just us getting together and just having a good time. Like we had a good time. Like yeah, and we would film all day. It would take all day to do like a 40-minute, 30-minute show. But it was so fun, man. We all got together, we hung out, we talked shit, we heckled on each other, we ate pizza and like hang out. And then we'd all go back to somebody's house and we'd go all watch it. We'd sit around and laugh and get off on our own personal self gratification.
I'm about to say
that was wonderful, dude. That's heaven.
I'm about to say the unsung heroes of it were the women in our lives at the time.
Right, yeah. The behind the scenes. It's so funny too because one of my exes, when I was with her and I was doing that, she thought it was great and wonderful and silly and funny and she wanted to be a part of it. But then when we broke up, she was like, "Oh, you're so stupid and immature. How could you do like you're grown men and you're like dressed up in outfits and fake fighting on a trampoline? It's not if you make sense."
I'm about to say I even gave her a shout out too, did I not?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'm about to say, so we were doing all that, I mean, I didn't I'm about to say it personal aside, I mean, God, it was who we were, it's who we are.
And it goes much it goes much deeper. Even as us, we're all grown men and stuff now. It's still very much an integral part of who we are. Like Ivy will call me every once in a while and like he watches the videos on YouTube, or if he has any videos at home, he watches them and he'll text me like quotes from some of the things that we would say or whatever. And it's like a really I don't know, man, it's just a really important part. And that's why I feel like,
God. I'm about to say you and I what was it, one day about 3 years ago, I want to say. I remember you and me 3 years ago, we were talking about arguably the most improved characters over time, our favorite matches and whatnot. If you had to have a favorite match, I mean, I already said mine earlier, being Show 4 Season 9, me trying to talk you guys into doing that one, with all four of us in this
tag match.
Yes, that was arguably my favorite match. Dude, what would have to be yours?
Oh man, it's tough. Oof, that's a tough one. Not to be
no. I'm about to say no. It could be a match you were or weren't involved in or whatever. But what?
So obviously, the very last match.
Yep.
Me and Thomas.
Mr. Sexy versus Myth.
Mr. Sexy for the title, which is the very last match we filmed. That was really good because me and Thomas have always had excellent chemistry, not just psychologically, but physically. Like we wrestle or fight. We were always like really we fed off of each other.
I'm about to say, also y'all grew up together too. Yeah. Literally, y'all grew up together.
Yeah, we all grew up. Out of all my close friends and brothers here, Thomas, the guy that plays Mr. Sexy, is the friend I've been friends with the longest. Like I've known him since 3rd grade, and so I think that has a lot to do with our chemistry. Plus, we're kindred minds, we're kindred spirits. So there's that match, and then there's the Blocko Usaki Hard Havoc match. That was a slobber knocker, as they say.
I'm about to say, if you're given one that's not directly involving your main character, I would also have to give one to what is it, Mr. Sexy and Showtime for their 2 falls out of 3 at Rage.
Yeah, that was really good. Oh, okay. I just thought of another one. The triple threat match between you, Thomas, and Ivy at Hard Havoc.
I remember you.
That one was spectacular. And then probably another one would probably be one of my favorites might be the match where Hax finally defeated Blanco in the regular season. That first match they had. That was effing incredible. That was a good match. They played off of each other. Blanco's character is this big, bulky, hulking character. Hax is like smaller. He had to use his speed. And it told a really good story watching that. And it was the first time the character Hax ever beat Blanco after wrestling with him like 5-6 times. He could never beat him. And he finally defeated him.
It was what, season 5?
So, somewhere in the middle of season 5. That was a really good match. I don't know, man. If I had to really pick it, I'm probably gonna go with Mr. Sexy Myth, because that's the first time those two characters ever wrestled on film. And not only was it a real good back and forth physical matchup between me and Thomas, but it also, I think, it told a really good story, because it was a deeper meaning. It was like a story about our friendship.
Oh man, I could even tell. I remember.
Real deep.
I'm about to say, yeah, let's get a little deep. Speaking of Hax, let me tell you when I saw the moment that he was ready to bust out. Backyard Brutality, Hax versus Mr. Sexy.
Oh yeah.
Oh my, that was amazing.
That was when he was still in the corporation. He was still wearing a suit.
We did plan a spot where, you know, I was going to get knocked out, you know, and you could even feel the tension, you know, when you felt the 3 count, you know, slow as like 1, 2, and literally my hand was this far. I'm talking this far from hitting a 3 when Thomas kicked out of it. I mean, that I think it did a lot for the both of them personally.
Yeah, dude, they didn't stop in that match. Like I sit back and watch that match. I was like, damn, their cardiovascular was incredible.
Oh,
because I don't know
absolutely.
I don't know if anybody's ever bounced on a trampoline. I almost wish that we did have a real wrestling ring, because yes, it would hurt more if we got slammed, because it doesn't hurt as bad if you get suplexed on a trampoline, because we're pussies, or whoever wants to say that, and that's fine. But one thing I'll tell you, when you're running around, because of the buoyancy and your feet aren't planted, your body has to work so much harder to like run and flip and spin around and do all and fake fight on a trampoline.
I'm about to say, I remember
like about 2 minutes you're out of breath.
I'm about to say, I remember when I used to do suplexes on you guys. I'm like, look, don't help me. Let the trampoline do the work, you know? I'm like, because usually, you know, you'd have to help someone if it was just solid, you know, you'd have to help get them in the air. I'm like, no, you don't have to do that here, because, you know, I saw the bouncing of the trampoline. I'm like, don't help me. Just let me do this.
Dude, you know, a quick off topic because of that. And I was like doing some research. When you're on a trampoline and you're bouncing around and doing stuff like that, it like increases like your cellular level or something. So if anybody's out there that does like martial arts or jiu-jitsu or wrestling, I would try that on a trampoline. If you want to increase your cardiovascular system, try doing that stuff when you can't plant your feet, there's no solid ground, and I'm telling you, it's gonna make you work harder, you're gonna breathe harder, your heart's gonna pump, your lungs are gonna be like sandpaper. Yeah. And so,
I'm about to say, I think there was only one match in TWA history where feet were on the ground the entire time. Mine and Ivy's ladder match at All-Star Classics.
Oh, right. And
I think that was the only one that stayed entirely on the ground.
Yeah, it had to be, because we couldn't put so they had a ladder match for a championship title, and we had to put the belt on. We had these light streamers that were streaming up out there, so we had light out there while we were wrestling and whatnot. And they put the title on the lights, and so they had to climb the ladder to grab the belt to win the title. And so
I had to take care of Ivy so much that night, because he had the flu on top of being in other matches and whatnot,
and because he's just a pussy.
Please, he had already been in what? 3 other matches before that one.
That's true. That is,
and
very
he
true.
had the flu.
That's
I'm about to say, you need to leave that man alone.
Yeah, I didn't mean to call that pussy. Sorry.
I'm about to say 3 matches plus the flu, and
God,
then
I hope he watches it.
Oh my God, no! I'm about to say no. I'm about to say we're talking about that. You know, we talk about the underrated stuff that we never really think about until later on. I mean, every season had one match, and we talked about that 3 years ago too. Remember? Every season had one match that could have defined the season if you let it, but it was so underrated, but it was so good. Season 5, the tag team championship with The Hunter and Shadow Man versus Myth and Showtime. How underrated was that?
I know, man. I forget about that match too, but it was real good.
Season 4, the 2 falls out of 3 match with MDG and Mr. Sexy.
Yeah, oh, yeah, yeah. And those matches are real good. They're super
But
good.
you know,
They're put together really
I'm about
well.
to say the underrated matches really showed you the passion that we put into it, though.
Yeah.
About to say not just the you know, it was underrated because you know the quality was excellent, but you don't think about it because it wasn't in main terms. You know, we tried to look at an overall picture the best we could. I'm the one that somehow looked back on it with fondness. You know, it's like Myth and I bounce stuff off each. Mitch and I here bounce stuff off each other all the time. You know, I mean, what was it? Character ideas when I was first coming up with a franchise. Who was the first person I went to? I went to that guy.
Yeah, because I was telling you how you should kind of base it around how when Chris Jericho he came out and he was wearing a suit and tie, which is funny because he's always been this like rocker type character in the WWE, long hair, or he's in that band Fozzy and he's just had that attitude, but then he started coming out in a 3-piece suit and he was insulting everyone's intelligence and calling them parasites. And I was like, yeah, dude, you got to do that. You should do that. And
I was trying to speak as well as I possibly
Right.
could, you know, with no
Yeah.
contractions in my sentence or anything
Yeah.
like that. You know,
Yeah.
that was hard, man.
Yeah, high-end speech while also being uberly condescending.
I'm about to say that's why I think I'm about to say that's when my character started losing his mind. You know, when I was just going, you know, off the deep end. You know, I had taken, you know, my loss to Hal Frank.
Yeah.
You know, arguably, I think the best promo I ever cut was what was it, show 12 of season 5, right before my big title match with this guy. I was just going off the deep end because I remember telling him when we were setting up for it, I'm like, look, just go with it. Just go with it. You
Yeah.
remember that?
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely.
Oh my god, so even then you were like, "Yeah, you know, you were so bitter and, you know, I can't help my return overshadowed yours," you know, and I was just like, "Oh my
Yeah.
god, this is great." And then we played some elements too, because we both knew it was bullshit, you know, and I was like, "You tried to break my arm and it's like you willingly tried to injure me because and we just
Yeah.
and I pulled some bullshit about backstage
I know, I was
politics,
just
you
about to say
know.
that, yeah. Yeah,
That was
backstage politician.
oh my god, it's like, "Don't you look away from me!"
Yeah, we dropped a lot of pipe bombs, quote unquote, in 5th season. That's where we used like real stuff from real life and we threw it in there just for extra spice.
Oh, no, there was no I'm about to say, there was no shade thrown at, Mitchell whatsoever, you know, he knew I would make it work, you know, it's like, when it came to promos, you were looking at the one, you know, it's like, I was like, "Mitch, just go with me on this, and we will make one of the best promos ever."
Yeah.
So it ended up and the worst, I will say I have one part of it I hated, but it wasn't anyone's fault. It just happened the way it happened.
What was that?
At the very end, when you were supposed to do the dive bomb on me,
Oh,
it should have caught better.
Yeah, yeah, it didn't get filmed. Well, it's
That
because whoever was filming it, I think it was Matt was filming. He just didn't know it was happening, so he was trying to get a good close up of our banter back and forth because we were like right face to face, and then that just happened out of nowhere.
oh, it was great because Jason's wife afterwards was talking to me about it. She's like, "Wow, y'all really threw shade at it." I don't know if you ever
Yeah,
heard that or not, but you
yeah,
know,
no, yeah, I did. Yeah, I think she might have told me or Jason might have told me.
oh my god, but it was great, you know. I mean, that was how good you and I were on the mic and
Yeah.
everything, and I'm like, okay,
Here's what's
let's
so
just
fun.
go.
Here's what's so funny. I always thought that like we put all this stuff on YouTube too, by the way, because we were trying to not necessarily. I mean, we obviously held out hope that maybe this would catch fire and it could go viral. But I mean, there's so many backyard wrestling things on there. Um, Plus, I was telling people I was like, I feel like this would be more of a big deal if we're like in Japan because in Japan they do some really weird with wrestling. I watched an episode of some house show, and there's this guy fighting against this dude that was a sumo wrestler, and then he was hitting, he was spraying him with hairspray.
That is
And then when I saw that, I was like thinking of us. I was like, that's some crazy off the wall bullshit we would do. And I was like, I feel like maybe if we broadcasted that in Japan, like it would really pick up, like because Japanese people have really weird off the wall humor, and I don't know if Americans would get our stuff, or maybe they do. Maybe we just suck. I don't know. But
I'm about to say,
um,
I don't care if we suck or not. That was our heart. That wasn't just our heart. That was our life.
yeah, it really was. I mean, we put our bodies on the line. We invested time. We invested mental energy into thinking of like storyline. Me and Thomas used to go on all these walks, and we would not sit, but we'd walk on these walks, and we would talk about what was going to happen, not just for the next show or the season, but we talk about the long haul. Like those characters, Yami and Yusaki, dude. We was talking about them before we even did first season, and then they came around in what was it, third season? Those characters, yeah,
I think it was the tail end of third season,
yeah.
very beginning of fourth
But
season. I couldn't remember.
we were talking about them before first season even really started rolling, and we were building a long narrative, we knew Myth was coming back the way he was coming back disguised as Blanco. We talked about that. We talked about Hacks and how he started out as the commissioner's son and how he was going to rise to the top and be a primetime player.
Not just, I mean, arguably he did become the primetime player. I mean,
Yeah.
seeing Hax's evolution was just, it nearly ended up transforming the 4 into the 5.
Yeah, I agree.
It was that.
Yeah.
That's how hard it
Yeah.
rode.
Speaking of cutting promos, Matt cut some really good promos as Hacks in fifth season when he
Oh,
became the
absolutely.
new interim commissioner after his dad had been committed to an insane asylum.
I'm about to say, I threw my creative pieces in here and there. The only thing I'm going to take credit for in season 5 was the draft idea, because I think that was my idea.
Yeah. See, we still borrowed stuff from WWE, but we made all of our stuff is very original. The storylines are pretty original. Obviously, it's borrowed from other stuff, but what creative material isn't borrowed from some other popular narrative? But we made it our own, and it's it lives and breathes as its own creative entity. And I'm gonna write a book about it one day. Serious, I'm gonna do like a novel based on these characters, and the premise is gonna be based around uh, King Seth, Commissioner Seth's time in the mental institution. He's writing in a diary about his experience in there, and then also his hatred towards his son for committing him, and and it's also going to cut frames to little short stories about the other wrestlers like MDG, like Mr. Sexy, like Blanco, and then those short stories also feed in to the main narrative. And yeah, man, I'm at some point I'm gonna work on that in the near future, hopefully.
Oh man, you can. I mean, our time in the TWA, you can't look back on it if you were a true fan, not just of wrestling, but of us as people. You cannot look back on that and just go,
Yeah.
"Man, this was." No, no, looking back at the vivid memories. Oh God, our believe it or not, even though I cringe a little bit every time I look at, say, our chain match or something like
Right.
that, I look at that and it's like, how far did we go? As far as we needed to put ourselves out.
Oh yeah.
And I'm about to say it. My character was in a funk at the time too, and I'll be the first to admit it. So me doing what I did during that chain match, it took me off finally.
Right. That's why it shows, on a serious note, why it shows that this for us wasn't just us just around in the backyard doing stuff. Like this was real. This was us being artists. We're doing art, because real artists will sacrifice anything to get their art out there. They'll sacrifice their money, their relationships, their body, and that's what we were doing. Like we were sacrificing our time and our health to tell a story and to get our art out there. That's why I feel like, honestly, I can say we were all legitimately true artists.
I'm about to say, if you had to regret anything about the TWA other than it ending, if you wanted to do one thing, what would it have been if you had had a chance to go back in time? What would you have done differently? That one regret that you never got to do?
Okay, so the only thing that really comes to mind right now is I would have been filming from before our technical first season. All the that we did before that, because we were doing stuff there, and Thomas had already came out with Shadow Man and Blanco, and we had some good narratives going. You had that first match with Poison Ivy for the European Championship. Then you and Myth had a rivalry with it. Then the rivalry between Showtime and Mr. Sexy for the All-Star title and the Hardcore Championship, back and forth. Then the match in the rain between me and Thomas for the retired Hardcore. all that stuff. We only talk about it, but you don't see it. And so my most regret is that we didn't get that stuff on film, and then that stuff was pre, the show. Like I wish we could have got that stuff on
I'm
film.
about to say, it's funny you mentioned, that I put my body on the line consistently, through all these matches, which is why I do have one personal regret, as far as the franchise character, and that was, at any pay-per-view that we've ever done, I have never had a normal basic one-on-one match.
Oh,
Never.
right, yeah. Yeah, there's always some weird
ladder, chain,
Yeah.
The I Quit style, the 10 count brutality match.
Yeah. It's
Oh.
always some weird stipulation for all your matches.
Yeah, it's like I can't do a normal match. Come on now. But then again, it's where you'll see me take a hit like no other that I really shine. It's like the what is it? The chair shot straight to the head.
Oh yeah.
Like in the very first 2 minutes of the ladder match in
Yeah.
season 5, and you're
And
like,
we unfortunately don't have the luxury of a billion-dollar company to make our own aluminum steel chairs like the WWE.
raw steel.
It's
Oh,
like raw,
somebody broke the fourth wall.
It's raw steel going on to a head of a guy who's not an athlete, who's not a professional, who's not a stuntman. He's just a dude that lives down the street taking a shot with a pure steel chair to the head.
Yeah, and
I think you were a bit concussed there too.
No, I ran that match fine. I knew what I was doing there. But no, I mean, just what we did, I mean, arguably the most, it's like I said earlier, Hax was arguably the most underrated character to ever rise.
Oh, yeah. I like it, though. I like his story from rags to riches. Although, I mean, in the actual storyline, he is rich because he comes from a rich family. But as far as like the character himself, his importance as a performer slash fighter in the storyline, like
I'm about to say, that
from
was
zero to hero. Sort of. He's not really a hero towards the end. He's kind of a bad guy.
about to say, the way the storyline went out, my body wasn't up to it at the time. I didn't get to put him over like I properly should have, but I did put him over the only way I could at the time,
Right.
because you remember we were talking about that, that was a regret that I never got to put him over like that. But
yeah,
let's see. I'm about to say some days, it feels like, our best days are behind us, and one could arguably say, I may not be as good as I once was, but for one night I'll still be as good as I've ever been.
Yeah. So to take this on the outside and to get even a little bit more deeper, do you ever feel like, based on what the TWA represents to you as a family or a group of friends and all that, and as an artist, have you ever found that what we did ever helped you through something difficult in life?
Oh,
Like say if you were dealing with a relationship issue, a family issue, or health issue, have you ever like, oh yeah, this helped me, this made me feel better?
Oh, more than once.
Really? Like what's one?
I'm about to say, without going into too much detail, I was in a fairly rough relationship at the time. She never decided to want to come around and see anybody. She was always so self-involved, but yet here I was trying to be with you guys. That was the problem with my first 3 appearances during season 3. I was I mean, we even had that discussion. I was wishy-washy as and it was like, yeah, take the title off me. I can't say I blame you,
Yeah.
And I never did.
Dude, we were so pissed off at you during those times.
I'm about to say,
we talked so much shit.
I'm about to say,
that's probably why we beat more later.
Oh,
if I'm being honest.
Oh no. So I never. I'm about to say, I never blamed you for it, though. Did I? Not once.
No, you just took your lashings like a good guy.
No. So I was never mad at him.
He
for
took his
stripping
lashings like a good little Jesus.
So in fact, we even agreed
joke.
on it. So I even agreed on it later on. It's like, yeah, let Matt take the championship. Let him run with it.
Yeah. And as far as I go, with the same question asked to myself, I can't.
But to interrupt, I'm sorry to interrupt.
No,
on
you're good.
That, but,
go ahead.
We were mentioning, the whole wishy-washy girlfriend thing. She ended up going away after a while, and it's like,
And who remained?
And who
The
remained?
boys. The boys remained.
Who remained? No, it was
Boys.
yeah, about to say, shout out to her for leaving when she did, because now you can suffer.
God, that what a
Who, me?
no.
Oh, okay, good. I'm just making sure.
Anyways, so for me, same question. I don't know anything specifically. There probably is. If I had to sit back here and really think about it, I probably could bring up something.
I can think of one.
What?
The X.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Sure. Maybe with that.
No, I'm about to, once again, let's ask the question.
Well, no, here's
who remained?
Yeah, right. Well, see, the thing though with the exes though, she wasn't my ex until after we finished though, so she was still around.
Even then, though, you look at it from a different point of view.
But
you know,
granted, we still moved forward. We stopped filming new content, but we started putting it on YouTube, and we started filming reaction videos, and we started filming new bits and new skits for the YouTube show. So yeah, I guess that helped a little bit. But for me specifically, I don't have anyone that moment that really stands out. And like I said, I probably if I got down and really thought about it with a piece of paper, I could probably jot down some stuff. But overall, like
I can think of another one too. It unleashed your creativity that you've been desperately desiring to let out.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it was the TWA for you more than anyone was an outlet.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I'm about to say, you want to talk about how it helped you? I mean, God willing, God knows what you would have done without the outlet.
Yeah, dude. I lived quiet life of desperation. I was mama's boy. My mom spoiled me a lot. I stayed inside playing with toys and video games all the time. I didn't really have much of a social outlet, and I wanted one, but I was just really sheltered. And so as I started making friends and we started doing this, that's really something that helped me get out of my shell as a child. But then even going forward, like doing the wrestling thing, if I was ever dealing with any issues, depression or stress or whatever, this really kind of, I don't want to say masked it, but it massaged it therapeutically, like lightened the load for whatever I was dealing with, because I had purpose. And I think that was probably the main thing. You had purpose. You felt important, like walking through the streets or going downtown or walking in Walmart, you're nobody. But when we're in that backyard and we're filming a bit, or I'm writing a little makeshift script and I'm putting on a silly costume and acting like a crazy person, I was a god.
I'm about to say, what was one thing I think helped you through it all? Remember that? Remember when your nephews came by for Hard Havoc when they were watching us?
Yeah, dude.
Dude, you can't tell me that didn't put you on fire a little bit.
Oh yeah, they really liked it, and I was like, oh look, it's our own fans. And just so everyone's clear, we probably could have like charged admission and got neighborhood kids and people from schools and stuff to come over and watch. But we just kept it to ourselves. Like we kept the videos, we let people watch it, but we never really had an audience. We had friends come over, family members, what have you. He was just talking about like my nephews and stuff coming over. But yeah, we never really had like a legitimate audience. And so part of me always wonders, like, if we did, like, how much different would it be? Or if going forward, if something could become of this, like, how do we handle an audience? What is our reactions? And I don't know.
What do I think?
I guess everybody would handle it differently.
Yeah, I'm about to say, what do I think would have happened overall? I think it would have diluted our product.
You think so?
I do. Because
we're trying to focus on appeasing a crowd, and then sometimes that dilutes the storytelling.
I'm about to say, it wouldn't have just diluted our storytelling. It would have diluted what would have made the heart and soul of us. Us.
Yeah.
So, that's what I think would have happened had we gotten a full-on audience, because granted, what I think would have happened, I think we may have gotten slightly better in-ring storytelling, because, the pressure of performing in front of others, and I'm pretty sure even our tech guy in the background would agree right there, when you're actually performing in other people, the pressure's on a little bit more, you want something, you want to have that, it's like you got to have that moment,
Right.
I mean, we always called what was it, Hard Havoc, our WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And ironically, the focus isn't even on the TWA championship, it's on the Hard Havoc championship.
Yeah, because it's based off the actual name of the title.
Yeah, so that it's like you had talked about, me, Thomas, and Ivy stealing the show, at Hard Havoc,
Oh yeah, no brainer. It's a no brainer.
I'm about to say we stole the show, that it's
That should have been the main event, legitimately.
No, it would have taken too much away. We already had that discussion too, but you know, no, it's sometimes you have those moments where Does that make sense?
What do you mean?
It's like where that there's something magical going on
Oh,
during.
right. Yeah, that's it's called flow state. You're in that flow that just is popping out.
It's a shame that our chain match never had that kind of flow.
It could have, but yeah, it didn't. It was brutal. That's what was sold on that match. Was brutality. Just the ooh factor.
About to say, I remember Ivy and Thomas calling that match. I look back on it in retrospect, and then when you're hitting me with the chain,
I did the snap DDT to you on the ground, dude, and it knocked you for a loop. And then they zoomed in on your face, and then Thomas is like, "Got a monkey."
Yeah, so and I didn't know what you were doing at the time.
Oh my god, dude!
I should have better prepared for that, but like I said, I didn't know what you were doing at the time. I literally got concussed. I literally got concussed during that match, and it's like, oh my god! And somehow I continued the match. I don't know how I did it, but I did it. Because I tried to keep going as hard as I could through it all, even during the whole swanton bomb off the ladder, I was slightly concussed. So, but that was also another moment of mine. I don't know whether you felt it or not, but it's like you're seeing something that just it takes you to more than what you know.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, I agree. But to go ahead and start wrapping this up, so we can go ahead and finish out this episode. I just wanted to say that we put it on YouTube, and for multiple reasons, not just one reason, but multiple reasons. A, because we wanted to further still doing our creative content, even though we had stopped filming and stopped wrestling in the backyard and all that stuff. But we wanted to get it out there so we could see it, and we could also watch it whenever we wanted at our disposal without having to go to our friend's house and watch it on some Burns DVD or
flash
drive, right? But then also we hope that we could get it out to masses and some people would watch it, because I feel like kids could watch it and you can watch it and think it's silly, or you can think it's shit, or you can think it's whatever. But I feel like there's kids out there that were just like us growing up, because the real story of TWA is about friendship. It's about brotherhood, like I was saying.
Yeah, it's about what's in here in the heart, in our
and so I feel
creative minds.
You have no idea the vast number of kids out there that they feel alone, they feel trapped, they feel they don't have an outlet, they don't have the same friendship, the same togetherness that we all had.
I'm about to say, if we had to take one message and give it to them, I would say go for it.
Right, yeah, just do whatever you want, like create something, and who cares if they like it, if they think it sucks, if you like it, if you think it's badass, if you think it's cool and awesome, then do it.
I'm about to say, show the piece of yourself that you're willing to have a heart for, that you're willing to sacrifice for.
Right. The best expression that a human being can give is themselves and what they're all about and what they want and what they like and what turns them on and what sets them on fire, metaphorically speaking.
Yeah, of course, giving for ourselves, by ourselves, to ourselves.
Yeah. And so my point is like, I feel like some kid out there could watch that and gather the information that they could see deeper, that, oh, this isn't just a bunch of dudes making shitty, silly wrestling stuff that's weird and off the cusp, but they're all just friends and they're just having a good time. They're just artists. They're having a good time. They don't care if people like it. They don't care if people do like it. Like, it doesn't matter. They're just having a good time, and they're in their own universe, their own ecosystem. And that's all that matters. Everything outside of it is white noise.
Yep, especially when the heart and mind are involved.
Yeah, and you can take that in any aspect of life. And I feel like And somebody might be like, is this guy really saying that their backyard wrestling could change someone's life? Yes, anything could change someone's life. It just depends on how you look at it. But at the end of the day, what the TWA really means isn't Theatric Wrestling All-Stars. It's about friendship and growing up.
And it's about our family and our hearts and our minds too. And hopefully when you see that in us, whether you interact with us in real life or whether you see it on our YouTube channel, that's just who we are.
Absolutely. About brotherhood. So that's it. I hope everybody enjoyed this. It's the Wrestling Diaries. We're talking about our wrestling stuff, but also talking a little bit about life itself and like what you wrestle with. So, think about that. It's an interesting concept. We had fun. I had fun. Did you have fun?
Of course I had fun.
Pretty awesome.
And of course,
Pound it.
Boom. And of course, he is the TWA's myth, and I am the TWA's franchise, and we'd like to thank everybody.
So, in closing, though, people wonder about Commissioner Seth, so I was going to do an impression.
So he talks like this. Yeah, he's got to turn that down because it's super loud. You piece of trash. You're ugly and fat, and I hate your father. And you're fired.
That's Commissioner Seth right there.
Oh my gosh, yes. But
Peace out. See ya.